A few years ago, I had a therapist suggest something to me, and it was hard to take. I don't remember exactly the context of how it was presented, but the concept remains that it's powerful, and I think is challenging for most of us to acknowledge and accept. And he suggested practicing a phrase, "I might be wrong." I think part of it was because so much of me was wanting my voice to be heard, needing to be heard, and needing to be right. And because maybe if I was right, then people would listen. And I see that happening so much in Christian circles today, that we're pushing our voice so much and trying to make sure that we're heard. Maybe it's because we're not feeling heard in other places. But whatever the reason, it's not about being right. We could be wrong. Can we have the humility to accept the possibility that we could be wrong? Can we trust God in the anxiousness that we feel or the fear that we feel if we are wrong? What if we have a viewpoint that we believe is 100% correct? We have all our I's dotted and our T's crossed and our sources, but it still misses something, and that something that it's missing is something that we don't even know because we haven't taken the time to listen to another person's opinion or consider what their filters are. And what ends up happening is we're here trying to prove that we're right and making sure that our voice is heard, but other people don't want to hear it either because they're also trying to make sure their voice is heard. And then what do we do? Well, I was looking at 1 Corinthians today, particularly in chapter 12. And there's the section on, in my Bible, I use the ESV version. It has a title in there for one body with many members. And it reminds me, as a believing body, the body of believers in Jesus Christ, many members that look different, that operate differently, and that have different purposes and functions, but to work together. When we're focused on our rightness, in our version of things, we can't work with someone who has a different function. We have to find some way to bring that connection together. So if you have one piece that's over here and another piece that's over here, if you're just going like this, you don't have that connection. And it's not going to work well together. It's not benefiting the body of believers. It's not benefiting the kingdom in any way. So what if we made space to just value how God sees each of us differently, and that we may be an eye or a head or a hand or a foot, and God sees all of those as immensely valuable. We have our place and our role to learn and to be who we're called to be, and who we are does not change because someone else is who they are. So in our dialogues, in our push to be right, we also need to remember that we don't see what other people see, and we don't see everything that God sees. One of the things that I love about this portion of Scripture, and it goes from chapter 12, verse 12, all the way through verse 31 is the last verse in that chapter, about the body consisting of different parts, and the eye cannot say to the hand, "I have no need of you," because all the parts have to work together. And it also says here in verse 26, if one member suffers, all suffer together. If one member is honored, all rejoice together. I pray that as we feel that tension in us to be heard, to state our opinions, to state what we believe, that we also pause, step back, and ask God to remind us that we can't see it all, and that we need some of His vision so that we can see when others are suffering, when others are rejoicing, and we can join them in that. And therefore, they can do that with us as well. I pray this encourages you, friend, because we are all in this world together and learning what it's like to be loved and to let God's love shine through us to other people. Take care, friends.